The Commanders began preparations for their Week 2 contest against the Lions. We discussed where the focus should be during this week's practice. An offensive coordinator was full of creativity in the Commanders' Week 1 victory. We head to the film room to highlight how it all started. Plus, running back Antonio Gibson stops by to tell us how much fun he is having in this year's offense with Carson Wentz and all of the weapons. And we get up and close to look at the team's practice as Santana Moss and London Fletcher focus on the defensive line. Earlier this week, the team placed defensive tackle Phidarian Mathis on the injured reserve list after injuring himself during the first quarter against the Jaguars. To fill his roster spot, the team also signed defensive tackle Donovan Jeter to the active roster. Mathis was selected in the second round of April's draft and was expected to be a key piece on the defensive line in the rotation. And we welcome you on into Command Center. Julie Donaldson here with you, along with London Fletcher today and Santana Moss. Look, Mathis was really going to be that stout guy coming from Alabama. Really kind of a big loss for them and what they wanted to do with their rotation, London.
Yes, a major loss with him going out in the ball game, especially early in that game. We're going to depend on our defensive line rotation, our defensive line depth, especially at the defensive tackle position. He was drafted to replace Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle. We really felt the effects of not having Mathis in that ball game late in the game. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen had to play a lot more reps. You saw Allen go out of the ball game late with the groin injury, but it was just an issue where we definitely need his presence, and we're going to miss him.
No doubt. Definitely going to miss him, man. So unfortunate.
Yeah, and he's kind of that guy, too, that big guy that'll take on double teams, maybe not always get the sexy numbers, but allows them to be able to do a lot. Wish him a fast recovery. Meanwhile, the team will look to build off their Week 1 victory over the Jaguars practice this week. Against Jacksonville, the Commanders started strong, scoring on the first 2 possessions of the game. Now, a feat that they have not accomplished in Week 1 since the 1991 season opener. My goodness. But with that being said, there is still plenty of work to be done before Sunday. So let's talk a little bit about what you can take from that game now that we finally have a lot of game tape to kind of go over, digest, and understand where some of the weaknesses and strengths were. What is it, Santana, that you want to see more of, that you're like, okay, this is some good stuff. Let's build off of this.
Just seeing the many targets that we threw to all the guys, to all our explosive targets on the offensive side. I think that's something that we came into this season talking about and raving about, how many weapons we have. And to see we had more than 7 guys have 20+ yards. That's something that can just, have you looking forward to each and every Sunday, knowing that these guys are going to be explosive and they only could get better.
When I look at it, I want to see the type of disruption that we got from the defensive line in that ball game. We only had the 2 sacks, but we had a lot of hits and pressures on the quarterback. Even that last play where Forrest intercepted it, it was the pressure caused by Sweat in that ball game on that particular play that led to the interception. So I want to see more of that from our defensive line, that type of disruption. And
not easy to get past the offensive line for Detroit, though, maybe a little tough, pretty stout there as well.
Yes.
What about some areas where we say, okay, work to be done, let's focus in, let's try to get some improvement here, London?
I'm going to go with the run defense. That was the one thing, coming away from Sunday's ball game where there was some disappointment. Gave up 123 yards rushing on only 18 carries. At one point in the game, we were allowing over 7 yards a carry, ended up giving up 6.8 yards a carry. Has to be better from a run defense standpoint, especially going against a Detroit Lions team that rushed for 180 yards against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Deandre Swift's going to garner a good bit of attention for sure.
I want to see that. Coming into this week, I was kind of skeptical of just seeing some of the coverages that I saw our linebackers having to stick, wide receivers or premier, slot receivers. London made me feel a little better about it, having a conversation with him or 2 on the field just a minute ago. But I just hope going forward we know that teams are going to come in here and try to create these mismatches, and we got to make sure that we're mindful of who we have on some of these key players, because we can't afford being caught, lacking, being out there and having a guy as young as Jamin. Jamin played, to me, I think he had played a great game, but I don't want to see him covering anybody of the likes of Christian Kirk again.
That was just the coverages, though.
Right? The coverage dictated based on where they align, and you got to give Jacksonville credit. They aligned their slot receivers up, and it forced our linebackers, whether it's Jamin, he had Kirk a couple times. The coverage dictated those matchups.
We'll see how it goes against Detroit as well. Look, offensive coordinator Scott Turner, he was deep in his bag of tricks on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 390 total yards with 4 trips to the end zone. There was a lot to like from that. Now, Logan Paulsen has a few keys that he wants to go over, some key plays there that he wants to highlight from the season opener in our film room.
Julie, thanks so much. I think Scott Turner's thinking about football on a really high level, and I think these first 3 plays from the game show why that is. Now, this is first down, and they come out in a heavy run formation. They've got 2 tight ends in the game here, and that dictates a very specific response by the Jacksonville defense. They bring in these 3 big hosses in the middle, 3 defensive tackle style bodies, and they take away a coverage player, right? So now you have this wonderful front here of 7 big bodies who are in here to stop the run. Nobody in that group's trying to cover anything, right? So what I think that is a lot of people think, oh, we got to run the football. Let's get in here. Let's pull people. Let's block. Let's do this crazy stuff. No, let's pass against this formation. I think this shows exactly why that is. So we got this concept up here at the top. I didn't even draw it yet. We got a nice post by Terry. We got a quarter by Jahan. We got Gibson to the flat. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to get numbers with your good skill position players on these guys, right? So if we take a look here, let's let this play out. They are in a version of cover 3 right here, or what I would call cover 3. Third, right? So by Terry pushing vertical here, this guy has to carry this. And that's going to open up a big window for Jahan on the out, which you love, right? And again, you don't get this kind of simplified coverage on 3rd down, right? You get this when you play it against base defense, and they're not expecting this. They're expecting to stop the run. I love the fact that Gibson's able to get in the flat and hold this coverage because it puts this player in a huge bind, right? He can't get too deep, and if he does, you've got an excellent space player here in Gibson that can make a play here, and you love that, right? So to me, that's good thinking by Scott Turner. That's the right way to approach this. How can you get defenses to do what you want them to do? He did that just by getting in the right personnel grouping. Now, they didn't complete that pass, and throwing the football on 1st down makes this okay, right? Now you have 2 downs to make up the lost yardage. Love this again right here. They motion in Curtis Samuel to the backfield, right? Why is this an advantage? I think it's very obvious. They don't bring this person into the box, right? So now offensively you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players to block a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-man surface for Jacksonville. I love it. I never understood the advantage of having him in the backfield, but if this is how they're going to play this is a huge advantage for this team. Now, the run doesn't go well. They get a little mistargeted. You get a free runner on the back. But again, if Norwell doesn't stick on this too long and turns up here and blocks this guy, they have hats for days. Everyone here is blocked up, and he's going to hit his head on the goal post. Again, this is something that happens early in the season, little corrections that need to be made, but there's space there just because of how you formation that and use your personnel. That is super exciting to be thinking about football in that way. Now, we're in a 3rd down situation. I think it's 3rd and 5 here, and they come out in this beautiful diamond formation. You never see this kind of thing in the NFL. It stresses people. You got 4 receivers. Let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers to one side. Defenses don't really have a lot of rules for this, right? So what you know, they're going to run a concept here that I call arches. You're going to go here, across. You're going to hold this player right here. This guy right here. Hold him right there. He's not going to move. The next player is going to run this guy's going to run a go here, go. And this guy's going to run an in cut versus outside leverage. You love that matchup, right? Jacksonville does an excellent job here of matching this concept, right? Foye Oluokun's one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL. Sits on it, right? But I love that Scott is utilizing this 4x1 formation. You got Curtis Samuel on a return route, again, versus a guy who's in outside leverage. And there's a nice window here. If we take a look, nice window here for him to get the ball, one of your space players to get the ball and cut up the field. And again, all that is done just off of formation and getting your playmakers in space and giving Carson a nice read. This isn't hard. I could do this. 1, 2, 3. And then if I like it, I can alert Jahan on the big box fade. That is good football. That's good play design. That's utilizing personnel. And again, making it easy for a guy to make a 1st down. I love what Scott Turner did in the 1st half, and I can't wait to see what he does week 2 against Detroit.
Thank you, Logan. Now coming up, running back Antonio Gibson was the benefactor of some of Scott Turner's creative play calling. He joins us for an interview next. And with the team turning their attention to the Lions, we send London and Santana to the practice field to tell us what they are noticing from the team. In Sunday's season opener against the Jaguars, third-year running back Antonio Gibson led the attack for Washington's offense. AG had a team high in both rushing and receiving yards on Sunday with 58 and 72 yards respectively. Even though Gibson was not able to find the end zone in the opener, he is excited about the offense going forward. How you feeling? I mean, it's week one. You kind of get those, like, I don't know, preseason nerves out of the way, and you get a lot of work out of the way. You get to see how this team wants to use you, and they certainly did.
I feel good. Of course, a little sore after week one, but you know, we got going and feel good. Came out with the win. Can't complain about that at all. Just got to build on our mistakes.
It's been a bit of a unique offseason, I think, for this team in many ways. Is, you know, you get Carson Wentz, a veteran quarterback, and then you put a lot of different weapons around him in addition to the rooms for you in the running back room, in the receiving room. And then you kind of look around when you're in training camp and preseason and you're seeing the different guys and what they're capable of doing. Where is your head going on what this offense can be?
I feel like every team always has those guys, but it's different when you have them and then you don't use them. We showed this week that we can use our weapons, and we did. Everybody touched the ball a little bit. Everybody got to show what they were capable of. That just keeps defense on their toes because they never know, you know, who's going to make that play. So that just opens up the offense for everybody.
You mentioned that after the fumble in the preseason, you didn't handle it well, but you had to really kind of adjust and get back to the basics and have fun. Did you have fun in the season opener?
I definitely did. I would honestly say, like, this is probably the first game in a while that I actually was, like, nervous going out. And I don't know why. Maybe all the talk and all the, you know, extra stuff behind the scenes. But I was nervous. And then I think my first play getting the ball was the 7 rep. And that relaxed me down, like, a lot. And after that, I just got the roll and I got comfortable. And I got back to doing me.
This is the first time we've really seen you being able to be used a lot in the passing game as well. Is that fun for you now, kind of to be able to have that versatility? Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. You know, you get to run and you have physical games like last one. That was very physical. And, you know, you get pounding 4-3 yards here and there, but when you got out in open space, it's just free running. You get to make people miss and things like that, so that's always fun.
And we have other guys as well that are like running and out, and J.D. McKissick, even Curtis Samuel. Are you guys having conversations on the sideline of what you're seeing to help each other because they are moving you all around in the formations? I don't too much talk to the receivers on the sideline because, you know, they got a whole different mindset or whatever their game plan was for the week. But running backs, we do talk a lot. If we see something, we come to the sideline, talk about it right away. After each drive, you know, we go over the video script and, you know, see what we could have done or what we've seen here, what we might do next time. And that's how certain players come up. They be like, oh, they're doing this here. Oh, we're going to run this play right here. And, so we do talk a lot. Shows the team mentality. Yeah, and sure. When you have that team mentality, the fan base can see it and they love it. Could you feel anything different in the air? I definitely felt the energy in the stadium. That was crazy. And, you know, they never gave up on us. You know, when we had the 2 interceptions back to back, they were still rocking with us. And, you know, we showed them that we was going to fight, and they fought with us. We heard them. We definitely heard them. All right. Congratulations, AG. Thanks. No problem. This week, the Commanders will look to get off to their first 2-0 start since the 2011 season when they travel to face the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Despite the Lions' lack of success over the last few years, Washington has struggled in Detroit, losing their last 4 trips to the Motor City. To see how the team is preparing for the Lions, let's head down to the practice field. This is our FedEx Field Pass, where Now meets next.
Thanks, Julie. This drill right here is, Tana, I know you're an offensive guy. This is a drill defensive guys are working on their pass rush when they can't get to the quarterback. D linemen are working on getting their hand up, trying to knock the pass down. This really played huge dividends in that game against the Jaguars. You think about Deron Payne knocking down 2 passes in that ball game. Sweat had another knockdown. But this is a great drill. They're using a volleyball to simulate a quarterback throwing the football and just getting your hands up into the passing line.
No, I was interested because when I was walking over here, I saw the coach doing it. And these are some of the things that you see done now in our game today. Because I remember when we was here, man, it was like, I don't know, you're a defensive guy, so you probably saw this before or not, but I never saw this one right here. And just knowing where our Coach Z come from, his background and playing as long as he's played, man, it's great to see him getting these guys ready for every, you know, different thing they're going to probably be approached with, throughout the course of a game.
And Noah Z, I played with him. He wasn't a great pass rusher, so this drill was for him to knock passes down because he wasn't getting to the quarterback. But again, a lot of times we talk about getting to the quarterback. Well, if you can't get to the quarterback, the ability to knock a pass down, it may be a situation. I know in the game Sunday they had receivers open, and Payne would knock the ball down and prevent them from getting a key third down conversion or something like that. But this is a great drill. This is the first time I will say I've seen it done with a volleyball or a soccer ball, whatever that is. But typically, most of the time they're using a football to kind of work on getting their hands up in the passing lane.
Not to stay too long on the D-line, game one is, under wraps. And what are some of the things that stood out, from our defensive line? I think our defensive line played pretty well. But what are some of the things you saw, from the standpoint where you was at calling the game and everything?
I was extremely impressed with the way Deron Payne played. He was a man child. He was an absolute animal in that ball game. He did a lot of great things, getting hits on a quarterback. He got the sack. Jonathan Allen got a sack. Sweat, although he didn't come up with the sack, he was able to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Even that final interception, you and I were talking as we were coming over here, the pressure that he got to Trevor Lawrence forced him to throw that interception. Exactly. But I was impressed with that, the way they were able to work in kind of unison, work together as a pass rushing group. I am concerned a little bit about the run defense, and not all that falls on the defensive lineman's lap, because you have to have linebackers fitting where they need to fit. You have to have corners and safeties fitting where they need to fit. And going against Detroit, and a team that rushed for 180 yards last week, that's something we're going to have to definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, that's something that I was thinking about coming over here. And then when you mentioned and saying we was going to talk about these guys today, how much of that lies on the D-line? Because we talk about the run game a lot and being able to stop the run game. Being an offensive guy, I have a little background in playing defense, but that was early in my years. But still, I don't think I was educated enough then when I was playing to know how much of a role that the D-line plays when it comes to stopping the run. I know they have some of the big guys up there to clog up lanes and holes and stuff like that, but does it all lie on them? And you just said it doesn't. So
no.
Who's the next line that it falls on when they're not, when our defense is, falling short to stopping guys in the run game?
It falls secondly on the linebackers, especially if you faced with double teams. There were a couple times where Jacksonville was doubling our defensive tackles, and from there, as a linebacker, you have to come downhill, get the double team off the line, off the defensive lineman, force them to come up to you, and that allows that defensive lineman to stay in their gaps. But then now it falls on the safeties and also the corners as well. I know you know about cracking,
gotta be
coming to hit a safety. Now that forces that cornerback to come into the run fit. And I know just watching Detroit last week, they forced Philadelphia's corners to become tacklers, and they didn't tackle well. So that's something that as we look at this group moving forward and stopping the run, making sure the linebackers are fitting where they need to fit, the safeties are fitting where they need to fit, and also the corners. When a receiver blocks that safety, you as a corner, you got to come up and replace them.
Got to come up, Gotta want to get dirty. I know we're about to wrap up in a minute. I was going to say, so you got a chance to call your first regular season game. What was that experience like, and what are some of the things you're looking forward to coming into week 2?
Tanner, I had a ball up there. I'm not going to lie. Julia tell you, I'm so intense up there. She's like, it felt like I was about to get on the field several times, but just extremely excited for the guys, because I'm like, we're fans too. I want these guys to play well. The way we came back, and when things got a little bleak, and Carson was able to respond to those back-to-back interceptions,
man, that was big.
Just the way they responded, I was proud of those guys.
I can only imagine how the stadium felt too.
Oh
being
man,
in there.
It was electric. It was electric, man.
Yeah.
It reminded me of some days back when we played. When we first got here, and that stadium used to be rocking. But it's time for us to get up out of here. We're gonna send it back to Julie.
Coming up, it has been a while since Washington has won in Detroit. In fact, Santana Moss was a big part of that game. We'll recap it when we return to Command Center. This season, we are celebrating 90 with Dominion National. The last time Washington won in Detroit was back in 2008 when both London and Santana were on the team. Santana finished with a pair of touchdowns, a 50-yard pass from Jason Campbell, and an 80-yard punt return, giving him an impressive 220 total yards on the day. On defense, London had a team-high 7 tackles as Washington gets the win 25-17. So you guys, you know how to beat Detroit. You got some secret sauce going on here with the both of you for this one. You remember that day, Santana, that game?
Do I? Yeah, I remember them all. But honestly, it's no secret sauce. You know,
well, I got my chef's hat on. We got to make some secret sauce.
And everyone would tell you, everyone would tell you that it's something special that me and London did, but it's no secret sauce. It's all about the will to go out there and dominate your opponent, and that's what we do. These guys say we can't tell them, we can't hype them up and give them no pep talk and tell them how meaningful this game is going to be or how this team is going to, you know, basically go at them. You just got to go out there and have the will to win.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them some Fletcher up though, Moss. I have to give them some Fletcher up. They have to understand, going into Detroit, it's a tough place to play. Now, they played there a couple years ago, so some of the guys...
Well, we've lost 4 straight in Detroit.
Yes. Some of the guys who were there the last time we played in Detroit are still currently on this team. It's a tough place to play. That crowd gets behind them. You're going to have to match their intensity, especially physicality, especially early in the game. Defensively, it's going to need a Fletcher type of game where linebackers will have to show up in that run game. Defensive line, you're going to have to stop the run, and we're going to go in there and come away with a victory.
There it is.
There it is.
No secret sauce, but we're going to pour some Fletcher up here. What would your sauce taste like?
My sauce, well, it gotta have some. It had to be a little thick because I'm, you know, I'm not a small dude.
Has to be some sauce in there too.
You know, some
put on
little spice to it, little spice to it, and a little bit of
some wings.
It has to also be smooth.
Yeah,
and that's.
There we go.
Oh, that's a great combination.
That's
to get
a
the dub.
hell of a
there
combination.
you go, to Detroit. We gotta have fun, but apparently there really is no secret sauce. So, with that, we say just play tough, play hard, beat the Lions. Thanks for joining us on Command.
Sauce smells good though.
Yes.